I've
Hello.
noticed how big my fingers are since we started doing this.
Welcome to the Shamans Tea, where everything is mystical and magical. I'm Starr Shontere, and I'm happy to be here. And good morning, my love. How are you?
I'm very well, my love. How are you?
Mm, I feel good. I feel blessed. Yeah, things have been going really, busily, but beautifully and in a deep way. I guess what I have really been listening to the heartbeat of community
Mm.
and hearing the struggles, the struggles that are real, that people are going through. I mean, like heart wrenching, you know, and just really been sending a lot of high vibes, just trying to keep the vibration high as much as I can, and doing my part in keeping the collective lifted in these, you know, hard times. I recognize and I hear and I see that, the struggle is real for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I've just been in that space of, really grounding and taking that time to send love bombs out. And yeah, so that's me.
Hmm.
Yeah. Introduce yourself for new people who
That's
don't
who
know
I
you.
am. I'm some sort of star being. I'm a massive energy ball that's squeezed into this meat suit, and this meat suit is called Genis. And I do a variety of healing. I am doing condor healing. I do shaman tube. But that's just a small part of who I am.
And you're a fairy too, right?
And I'm apparently theory too.
Yeah, you got the crook fingers. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Mia was sharing that her husband was reading a book. What is it called? The Initiate or something?
Initiated, I think. I
Initiated.
haven't read it yet. Yeah.
He was excited to find out that she was a hybrid fairy. So how are you guys feeling? How's it going? It's Wednesday, and my daughter pointed out that since the beginning of the year, Wednesdays have been quite phenomenal in the energy zones. So I just want to reach out and say, how are you guys doing? And how's your Wednesday? It's hump day. And I feel already a deck of cards wanting to speak through. So you guys know, well, let me just say, have a little sacred space talk of, we've opened up sacred space before we hit record, but we channel these messages. We work with card decks in this particular way, and it kind of gives us this nudge, of how these messages want to come through for you. And so, we ask for the messages to come through in their highest state, for your heart, for your well-being. Yeah. So here we go. It went flying. It went flying. So this is an affirmation to start us out this morning. So maybe you want to just drop into your heart space in order to receive this message. Nice deep breath in. Yeah. Creator is the card. Creator. Oh, the creator. And I'll read it. Here we go. I am a creator in my life. Today, I take action to create one positive thing in my life. I know that Great Spirit is co-creating with me. I am a creator. So what are you creating in your world? What does that feel like, the creator? When you drop into your place of creating, maybe you're creating a beautiful meal for yourself, nourishing yourself. And if you've been on a roll of maybe, the sugars and that, not so healthy, maybe it's time to start creating those healthy meals. Maybe you're creating a new paradigm for yourself. What would that look like? A new job? A new way of thinking? A new perception? What do you feel, Matt?
All of the above.
You got a card for that?
Well, I wanted to listen to you before I start pulling cards, but
Okay, so I got 2 more cards from the same affirmation deck. And so maybe you need to, the next card is authentic. And it says, I love who I am. I am authentic. Everything I do emanates my uniqueness. My vibration exudes and receives truth in its purest form. I live my life from my own experiences. I love who I am. So as the creator, we've got to start creating that space of loving who we are, so that whatever you're creating is coming from that authentic place, and that place of self-love. Self-love, right? And that second card, or the second card that came with this, which is actually now the third card, is take a chance. So for those of you that are sitting back going, man, see, I'm not creating anything in my life, see? I'm not doing it. I'm gonna stay in my rut. I like my sit and spin. Fuck off. here's your here's your card. Take a chance today. I take a chance on myself. I open my heart and embrace true courage. I release the stories that keep me in dysfunction. Remember all those ones, I am worthy of a life filled with peace, love, and joy. I am worthy. Today, I take a chance on myself. Booyah! Well, that's just some beautiful messaging right off the bat, right? So how many of us are feeling like, oh, wow, I'm gonna share a little story from the Star Vault. We're coming up to planning out March stuff. This time last year, what was happening? And I got a little like PTSD maybe of all the things that had to cancel. And I feel myself playing small. Maybe my little small self doesn't want to plan out or take those extra chances, because the what if mind comes back in again. What if everything just goes crazy again? And what if I can't, everything is canceled and blah, 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 story. So you may have something similar going on. And these messages that are coming in, thank you for these messages, are saying that, yeah, you can take a chance on yourself. You can be the creator in your world. You can be authentically out there and doing your thing, and it's gonna be all right.
Well, so the card that I just picked is this beautiful card, but it says sanctuary on the bottom, and you can actually see this beautiful strand of DNA that's coming down the center of the card.
Ooh, creating that new paradigm. That's what I feel in that. What do you see?
Well, it feels to me like this whole lockdown thing um, is really painful for a lot of people, and it feels very constricting. But it also feels like it is a very necessary thing, and it is creating changes out there on the outside and inside of us that is
Oh,
make things possible that would not necessarily have been possible without this intense time of being shut down, about being forced to kind of look inside. And I think that, if you look at Hollywood, there's so few movies that I can watch that doesn't have an incredible amount of violence and
oh, yeah, right.
sex that's just not healthy. And I have a feeling this shutdown is going to bring Hollywood to its knees.
Mm.
And with that is going to be an opportunity for the divine feminine to step in and say, hey, you know what? This is how we're going to make movies from now on. We're not going to put up with this sex scenes that's designed for men. From now on, it's about intimacy and
Mm.
it's meaning.
And
And
diversity and unity, and that we can rise and accept all beings in, and being depicted in powerful positions or what have you, but the true stories, right?
yeah. So if you can imagine this happening on the outside world, can you imagine what happens on the inside? And then this lockdown is a sanctuary. It does become a sanctuary now. Thinking about the effects it has already had on people's lives, not going out there doing kind of meaningless jobs. It's forcing people to come in and say, how can I make a living in this circumstances with love, and it actually being a lot more meaningful than what people have been doing in the outside world. And
No doubt it has been a time of reset, and to definitely go within and really evaluate. I feel like for so many of us, we have come to the epiphany of, what is important? What is our focus? Do we really want to be on the treadmill of life? You know, and how do we, do things? Or the new word I think of 2020 was pivot.
yeah, exactly.
How are we pivoting? How are we going to remake ourselves, recreate our thoughts, are who we are? How are we going to peel away and actually be that authentic self? And I think that you're right, that going inward, this has been a really big time. And for a lot of people who don't have tools to work with all the stuff that has been bubbling up, right? All of our shadow stuff, when we're forced to go inward, what's going to, anything that you have not worked through in your shadow work is going to bubble up and show you, like, and if your self-talk is from a sabotager place, you're probably giving yourself the wagging finger and judging, rather than, you know, doing the work. If you don't have those tools to do the work, it can be really crazy. And this is where we're seeing, so much domestic violence on the rise, in these quarantine situations, added pressures of, not having the tools to do your interior work as all of these things rise. And then add another pressure of the financial burdens of, unemployment not being received, not, having your job, like we know the stories, right? So if we can look at this time as a time to do that personal work and dig down in, wow, this could be a really fantastic time. And I've seen that, over and over again in our you know, throughout this year, you know, how people have been digging in and really doing the deep work, and just really want to honor that, you know. Hmm. So this card I picked, and then I actually put it back because I thought, well, it's kind of tattered, you know, maybe it was just pulling that, and I shuffled the deck and then it flipped out again. So it really wanted to be, um, you know, this message really wants to come through. And it's the title is The Well Watcher. And the words underneath of it is wisdom and the power of the divine. And so what do you read? What do you feel of that, Mia? What comes to you first?
Well, this is the card that was right underneath that other one, and you
Okay,
can
what is that?
see this above the storm, and you,
Mm,
that that well water, that deep, what looks dark and turbulent on the bottom, and knowing that when you go from above that light, that we're actually being held very gently. What feels really, really turbulent, and then you look from above, like, nope, this is part of the bigger. There's a bigger plan here at work.
wow.
So
What comes to me in this, and what seems to be wanting to be discussed, is the perspective of rising above the storm, but yet we're going to go into the well. And
mhm.
what's in the well are all your wishes, right? And the depths of which we draw from. And so we have to, as we're making manifest, and our second card was the map of destiny. So as we are making manifest, and again, these words are authentic purpose. So this is really coming in, you guys, you know, that it has to be an authentic purpose, right? Inspiration. It has to be inspiring, and inspirational free will, which is really cool that, you know, yeah, we do have a part in it. You are the creator, our free will, you know, this is where we have choice.
Mhm.
So digging, what I feel is from your card is, you know, sourcing in order to create this map, or in your previous card, the DNA, shifting the DNA, and really stepping into, you know, your highest good and what you are creating in your world, creating self, recreating self as you're going inward in this time. What do you need to recreate about yourself? Digging from deeply from this well and rising up out of the storm, right? To create your destiny. You can
Oh.
create your destiny. Free will is an amazing thing. It really is, you know. In our guided meditation, you guys, on Mondays, we do a guided meditation. I do a guided meditation, and you're welcome to drop in. um it is an 8-week challenge, and the last week was week 3, and it's all kind of spontaneous for me usually. And when I'm teaching classes, I'm like curriculum, you know, very, you know, like into the weeds. And this one was really very much so that it needed to be kind of like we are a community meditating together. And so what is our, you know, a kind of theme or whatever. And last week, um, it was all about the choice. Why do we want to meditate? Right? That we want to meditate, it's a practice of being present. And when we're present, we have the choice in every moment,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we can choose however way we want to be. And last week we were dropping in the choice. What would it feel like to choose joy in every moment? Even in the sorrowful times, even in the times where you have to go deep, deep, deep into that well, can you choose joy? Can you do it from a place of joy? From a joyful heart, what would that feel like if you chose today to be in your joy? What would happen if you chose to weave joy in your map? Every moment you have that choice, right? And I love that. Free will.
It's very interesting how it feels like free will is a little bit on trial right now.
Okay, go into the depths of that. I like where you're going.
Well, I don't want to name certain things that's going on in the real world, but it feels like people are conscious, or maybe unconsciously, I don't know, almost like we're on a little tricycle and we can go straight ahead, but we turn the wheels and we go into the wall and we bang into the wall and we bang into the wall. And I'm like, why are we not going for the truth? And somebody keeps sending me stuff that about messages about things that are hoaxes. And it's interesting how I'm trying to have a conversation with this person and say, instead of saying, you must believe this and this, no, 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 that's not reality. This is reality. And feeling, but in the process, I am then telling him what to believe. And
Exactly.
sovereignty of his soul away. And clearly it is his soul's choice to bang into that wall repeatedly because he believes that that's the truth.
And perhaps for him, he's not banging in the wall. Maybe that's your perception or judgment. And that's the real iffy thing about truth. And, because we are all having our experience and we're all coming from seeing through the perceptions of are those experiences. And your experience may be different than the dude on the trike. And one of the things that I like to lend a perspective about and teach about, and I do this, like this is a huge practice in ceremonies, is that my mentor in the jungle, he would, I would do the dieta with noyarao. Noyarao is a bioluminescent tree, and you drink the tea from her roots, and you experience the spirit of this incredible being. And she's a master teacher, an ascended master, and she is a star being. In fact, she's a whole universe. So it's a lot to comprehend, right? But my mentor would say to me all the time, we want to do our ceremonies from the top of the tree. I think that we want to live our lives from the top of the tree, where we're out of that duality of who's right and who's wrong. We're out of the dualities of all things, but yet we see with that clarity and have no judgment one way or the other. And at the top of the tree, we realize that it's all truth. It all has a thread of truth.
Right.
Why? Because you believe it and you believe it and you believe it and you believe it, no matter what it is. You may have a different belief and you may have a different belief, but because you believe it, there is a thread of truth.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And we don't want to have, I think what I find at the top of the tree is I lose attachment to any of it. I can see it. I can even understand it.
Here's the thing though, I can still, when I'm in the top of the tree, I can still tell you that some information is based in fear and this information is based in love.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to go there, because then you have the clarity to be able to not only sense the vibrations, but you have raised your vibration in such a way that it's really all love. You're
Yeah.
in that space of unity at the top of the tree, at the top of the mountain, in that eagle vision, in all of that. You don't lose the minutia, and you see it all, and you can see it with clarity, but you don't have to engage in any sort of way, one way or the other, right? Beautiful. Queen of light.
What's it say? Queen?
Queen of the light, illumination, enlightenment, celebrate good times. Come on. What a perfect time for that card, at the top of the tree, stay in this place, stay in this place. And here's what I want to say, guys. And this is a big, big topic, and seems to be a trigger point for a lot of people. I'm of the love and light. I'm of the love and light. I'm of the love and light. Oh, she's not doing her shadow work. That you stay up in the love and light, and that if you are love and light, then maybe you're bypassing your shadow work. But it is my feeling that it is this shadow work that allows us to stay here. You can't bypass the shadow work.
Hallelujah.
Right? You can't bypass. It is doing the shadow work that allows us to rise to the top of the tree.
So the image that comes to mind for me is a person is a knight in armor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fully armored up, and he's wearing his weapon and his sword and whatever. And it's almost like he's saying to the universe, come at me. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for a battle.
Okay.
And then you see that same knight completely unarmed. How much would you want to attack him at this point?
So the vulnerability plays a part.
Exactly. So as we do our healing work, we're taking off a lot of our armor. And when we are standing without our armor on, suddenly we are less vulnerable to attack. Is that what we're saying, right? We're saying, like, as you do your healing work.
So this is beautiful, Mia. Yeah. As we do our shadow work, the more, and this is, okay, so in our comments on YouTube, we got actually a question about if we would speak to how people could be more in a way of protecting themselves. As an empath, how can they protect themselves? And this is it, this is the segue into that, and thank you for asking that question. And we really appreciate your feedback, your comments and all of that. And to address that, to me, it is doing your shadow work. Yeah. There's a lot that we can do. We can Merkaba ourselves. We can white light ourselves. We can put ourselves in the violet flame of protection. All of these things are fantastic. But at the end of the day, you got to do your shadow work, because the more that we let go of all of those things that have been hidden, that is the armor, right? That starts coming off. And we realize that we really don't need to have as much boundaries when we're here in this light space. We're light because we have shed the armor. We really can walk in that place. This is the ultimate protection. So how do we raise our frequencies into that light space? You got to take care of your physical body, right? So that was the message that first came in: nutrition, greening up yourself, raising your physical vibration so that you physically are vibrating in a really beautiful space, a frequency that is emitting light, right? So what are light foods that you can be bringing in? But the biggest piece is this shadow work, and that is the revealing the unconscious hurts and patterns and traumas and dramas and things that we have pushed down and oppressed and that we're not going to deal with, and they pop out like freaking whack-a-moles, and they come out in addiction and abuse, and they come out with, self-talk that is, low vibration, comes out in, the self-sabotager. It comes out in so many different ways, so at the end of the day, we feel like we understand that we're omitting, no, putting out is what I want to say, putting out a frequency that is what gonna come back to us.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, if we're feeling attacked, if we're feeling like we've got to put on a bunch of protection and armor up, then the more armor you have, chances are the deeper your well.
And also, I mean, to maintain, I mean, I used to do Reichian therapy with a person many, many years ago.
What kind of
And
therapy? Did you say Reiki?
Reichian.
Oh,
Wilhelm Reich was,
okay, yeah.
yeah. So, in order to have all this armor on you, now this is a different way of talking about how we keep boundaries in our bodies and how we keep shutting down our bodies so that what's inside doesn't come out. So this is it's very much a part of us. And in order to break that armor down in the first place, to just sort of start feeling what's underneath all the stuff that we're shutting down, was to use breathing and kind of like hyperventilating. And then you start crying and you start shaking and like stuff starts coming out and you start remembering stuff and you start talking about stuff. Anyway.
Beautiful therapy.
And in the process, it's a very long therapy too. I find it's not quite as effective as I find, doing the shamanic work. I find it's a little bit shorter. But even so, the energy to keep that armor up is taken an enormous amount of energy to keep this armor, to keep your body constantly shut down so that you won't feel everything that you need to feel, to keep all these wounds safe and protected until there's a moment when we can open up. And so I was so wounded, many years ago, that I spent hours a day sleeping. Every moment that I had was spent sleeping because this armor takes so much energy.
Yeah, your body really needed to restore. Yeah, it was really calling for you to sleep. Wow.
So yeah, it is so important to do this work and to find ways to, and if you even when I sit daily and I work with my cards, and then something comes up and I start going and now it's wonderful because now we're at this point where we can look at something and go, ooh, there's a speck of dust, I missed that one before. And but when you start doing the work, it just feels so big. It feels so all-consuming. And at least if you cannot talk with somebody or you can't work with a shaman, please work with this wonderful shaman over here with this beautiful halo around her. She has the power of.
Thank you. Yeah, and you too, girl. I mean, like, suffice it to say, guys, we're here for you. You need a sesh, we're happy, but there are some tools that you can do, and the breath work, as Mia was saying, just and like I was saying, just coming into the meditation, coming back into the present moment, that is a key tool what is truth in this moment, and get super literal. I'm sitting on a cushion. I'm having a Zoom. I'm in the Shamans Tea. I'm receiving. I'm in a, I've got walls around me, on and on and on. Just getting literal about what is truth. Because sometimes we get so overwhelmed about what is truth, as Mia was saying, what is truth and what isn't, that we can let all of that go and it doesn't really matter, what's truth in this moment, and get super literal about it and let go of the stories of what you think it may be, or what happened last week or last year or in utero, or right, the birth story, all of these different things, right, that you may carry around in that well.
Yep.
Ooh. So, just releasing, and also I want to say, is practice being the witness in your life. Practice this for all day, for the rest of your day, today, whenever you watch this, and maybe even the next day. Practice being a witness, and just really not engaging so much from at all, and just seeing, oh, and just like, oh, I see you, sabotager. Oh, I see, oh, that's part of my well. Ah, okay. And how can I be more authentic? And, what am I creating? Am I creating, if we come from the space that we are co-creators and we create our reality, then how much responsibility are you willing to take for what's happening in your life right now? It's easy to blame. It's easy to blame the government. It's easy to blame family, parents, on and on. But how much of it are you willing to take responsibility for? And so when we're in that observer role, we're able to just see it without judgment, without, engaging in it, but just to be that sacred witness in your life. I want to know how that goes for you. So yeah, let us know, reach out and let us know how that goes for you. What tools did you engage with? And if you were able to be the sacred witness in your life and see, and it's a really good thing to keep a journal. What's in the well? Dive in. Hey, and you can put your scuba gear on to go into the well. You can put that, if it goes in deep, like give yourself a lifeline, You don't have to jump all the way in and, be like just little pieces at a time, little pieces at a time.
I wanted to say something. This talking about Reiki and therapy really brought some stuff back for me. It's been decades. But I do remember, God, it's probably at least 30 years ago when I was at my most fragile and I felt like I could float away. Just, here we go. I just felt so light. I just felt so inconsequential. It felt like I was really kind of unloved and untethered at that time. And my Reichian therapist said to me, the first thing you need to do is grow roots through your feet and connect to Mother Earth and always stay with her and just really, really connect with her. And when you feel at this place where you feel like you might float away, just know that she is under your feet and you are so loved. And that helped me tremendously. And I have to say, I also feel like we're flittering all over. But
It always does, right? The messages we trust in, right? We trust.
The other, the message that wants to come through was Joseph Reel. I was reading something by Joseph Reel not long ago, and he was talking about inspiration coming into your body from the ethers and taking it into your heart and letting it sit there a little while. But you have to then take it down into the earth and introduce it to Mother Earth before you bring it back up again. And it's every time and every step of my healing and every step of my education, Mother Earth is involved. Or please do involve her if she is not involved yet. So yeah, that time when we're exploring that well, it's being tethered almost like a umbilical cords to her. And whenever you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna drown, give her a tug. Just tug on your umbilical cord. And
I love it. It's such a powerful practice. It's so simple and powerful. It's one of the most simplest, hardest to really just, okay, I'm just going to do it, sit down. And what we mean by grounding is, like she said, feel, sense your connection. For me, I always bring my awareness to the bottom of my feet and beam a light from the bottom of my feet down deep into the core, like I'm in her womb, and breathing that energy up and into my body and exhaling anything that doesn't serve, right? This is a great way to clean the well, exhaling all of the drama and trauma. I see that, sending it down and asking, the Pachamama if she could thank you for transmuting the energy. It's such a powerful practice, just even growing the roots or sending that beam of light in, and so that you're connected. And this is a ongoing practice for me throughout the day. Right? That I am that channel, that I'm sending the beam up, connecting into the ethers, grounding in, sending the beam down to the earth, and that I become that open channel. So this is not only a daily practice, but throughout the day.
Yeah. When I was training in South Africa as a Sangoma, my first 2-3 months was just about constantly grounding. And my teacher always said that if you can ground yourself in Africa, you can ground yourself anywhere, because the energy is most dense in Africa. And the hardest thing was while I'm driving, to imagine these roots growing from my first chakra and into my feet, into the ground, because I was like, no, I'm moving, I can't do that. No, you can't.
The beam of light is good for that. The beam of light is really good because it can travel with you, and it just kind of goes. Mm-hmm. So Mia, you grew up in South Africa, Namibia?
Namibia.
Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Well, that's a very wide question. What aspect are we referring to? Because
well, we're at the Shamans Tea, so let me refine it. And maybe what I want to know is, do you feel like growing up in South Africa influenced you in becoming shaman and walking this path?
I would say yes and no. I think I have been a shaman in so many lifetimes. Every time I do work, like I was a shaman in this life, I was a shaman in that life. And it's, I was a Siberian shaman. But the interesting thing was about growing up in Namibia, where I was fascinated by the sun and the Khoi people, the Bushmen. And as a kid, I could not get enough of, I wanted to introduce them. I want to meet them. And my father was a surveyor, and we would drive all over Namibia. And at nighttime, we would make a campfire and sleep there. And There was no bed and breakfast nearby. There was no hotel nearby. You would make a fire and you would listen to hyenas in the distance, or lions, or sometimes koi dancing. People, they dance through the night and sing. And yeah, it was an incredible love of nature. You know, you can take your clothes off and walk for miles and nobody would come upon you because you are in the middle of nowhere. And that part about nature that is so vast is always something that I miss, that I love, that was most. But even as a kid, I always wanted to know more about the Aboriginal people of Australia because I read about them and I wanted to know about the native people of this country. And nobody in my school talked about them. And none of my brothers or sisters talked about them. My parents didn't talk about them, but I had an awareness of them. And I felt like I always had an awareness of a way of being closer to the land that was always awake in me, that was like saying, like, that's where you were once and you're now in a white skin, but you were not always in a white skin. And yearning for that experiences of being wild, whatever that meant.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. It's very rare we get to hear Mia's stories, so she's kind of tight-lipped about her her story. So I appreciate that. You know, we sneak them in every now and then. It's awesome. Yeah, I would love to go to South Africa with you one day and just
We'll organize it.
Yeah, that would be great. You guys want to come? Let's go.
I'll tell you one more story. My
Okay.
son,
Oh, good.
he had an ear infection, and these ear infections kept coming and coming and coming, and finally we took him to a ear whatever. It's to make a long
Your
story.
son, as you said.
My son, yes.
Okay.
So he had to have surgery done, and before we said yes to surgery, I decided I'm going to take him to do some Reiki healing. And so my dear friend Carrie Kay came over and had a Reiki session on him. And I was sort of holding his legs to just sort of calm him down because he was pretty young at that time, while she was standing over him, giving him Reiki. When she was done, she said, so the images that came to mind was these vast red dunes with these dead trees growing out of them. Does that make any sense to you?
Oh, he was rooted. Yes.
That's my country. That's
Right.
Namibia. And so as I was holding him, she was reading my energy. And
well, and also maybe even that it's in his DNA.
Yeah. So that
I'm sure of it. You know, if it's in your DNA, it's, you know, this is beautiful.
It's that place is people when you live in Namibia, they had a massive rainstorm recently, and part of Sossusvlei, if you ever look it up, it's these beautiful, the highest dunes, red dunes in the world, and you would go there and you put woolen socks on up to your knees because the sand is literally like boiling point hot, and you climb, and for every 2 steps you give, you slide 1 back. So it's really an effort. And as you are up there, you watch Gemsbok and you watch ostriches down there. And anyway, so they suddenly had water in between these dunes, and people have never seen it before.
What?
It is beautiful because they've had years and years of drought now. And
wow. Wow. So that's a really big win for the earth. Or is it? I don't know. Are they supposed to be like dunes? Like, I mean, I don't know. It feels like anytime I hear rain, I feel like, yay, the water spirits, right?
It's turning green. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to see. So people go running when these rivers come down that are just like dry slopes that, you just go there and there's just nothing. And then suddenly you hear it, and here comes this massive flood down. And that's how the rivers always come down. Rivers are not and float all the time. So a little bit of rain and everything comes like, here comes the river. And so as a kid, I remember running down the street after a rain, and the boys would be all macho and say, oh, I'm going to go through this with my bicycle. And the next moment, the river just comes and washes the bicycle away. The guy like, ah! So, how everything is in flux. You never know quite what might happen. Water is so powerful. And
Yes, it is.
when it comes in, it comes within, and the grass comes up so quickly with that water, a little bit of rain, and suddenly all these elephants come rushing in, and there's like an ecosystem that develops within a day or two. And these elephants come and they bathe in the, everybody is congregating in that area and have massive parties and drinking and feeding, breeding, and 2 weeks later it's done. It's right.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's okay. So I don't quite know how this is.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, so I want to share that next week we have a guest coming on. Her name is Katie Mosley, and Katie is a friend, client, has sat in Medicine Circle with me. And she has been doing talks about what her experience was like and comparing a near-death experience to the ayahuasca ego death experience. And so we're going to have her come on and share a little bit of that with you guys. If you've had a near-death experience, if you've had ayahuasca experience, an ego death experience, this would be kind of a fun thing for you to chime into. And if you have been curious maybe about plant medicines, ask some questions, put some questions down below, and I'd be happy to address whatever that is. But also, not but, and, to for which, all of that, near-death experiences, and what happens in this space as you zip out of your body. Your energy body leaves your physical body, you have the experience of another dimension, and then come back and bring it all back in again, and what that does, and raising our vibration and our intuitive powers and all of that. So that's exciting, huh?
It's really exciting. At some point, I want to hear you talk a little bit more about how you got involved in this medicine and how you started working with grandmother.
I love sharing that story, and so maybe we can address that next week as well. So we'll kind of like be maybe divide our program in half, so where we're doing some intuitive messages for you, but also having Katie on, and she's going to be coming on first thing. So we'll see how it all unfolds. You guys, this is all spontaneous. Like we don't plan out. Like it's all channeled. It's all, spontaneous channel. The messages come through. We are so, so grateful to our guides and all that, all of the energies that come through and work with us and through us in order to bring you this shaman's tea and the messages. And I hope that we leave you today with some golden nuggets, some takeaways, and you feel a little like you're loved and held. And I want you to understand and really feel deep, deep in your heart of hearts, that place in the back of your heart, that you are loved, that you are worthy, and that you can be the creator in your life. Stay authentic, do the shadow work. You're creating a new map, your new destiny. So stay in that light by doing your shadow work. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Aho! Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Feel like that was a great tea. Appreciate you, Mia. Thank you.
All right, bye. Back to you, sister.
Here, let's do it again. Cheers.
Did we get a Icaros today?
An Icaro. So this one is the raising of the Mariación. Money, money, bon pie. She wants to sing. She loves singing this one out. It raises the energy vibration and connects us with our highest, what you would call the Morayas. Those are the ancestors that carry the beautiful shamanic medicine throughout time. So connecting us to the Morayas. Money, money, pampai. Money, makinan. Pisha kitana, anrakano mairi. Oni muraya ores, kano irabuai, kano irabuai, kano irabuai. Pai makina, oni pai makina. Pisha ki chan chan ra, newe o kamponteni. Kano pora mayera. Noa, neno descano. Noa, cano kewani. Oh, yo, 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 yo. Thank you for asking. So much love, so much love, so much love. Mwah.